they hurt me.
Great evening.
It's a
Welcome to Why Should I Be
the way
Ashamed?
they
I'm Sheila Calvert. I'm your host for tonight. I am the author of this great book, Why Should I Be Ashamed? Listen, we are in a great season of happiness and joy to the world. But yet we have some situations. And I just want to talk to you tonight about advocacy. And I will be right back. Sign in, go to my YouTube page and subscribe. And tell somebody what we're doing over here on Why Should I Be Ashamed? I'll be right back. In this game, no more shame.
no more shame in this game. No more shame. No more shame. I'm not alone, 'cause you're at home. You got a story of your own. Do-do, do-do. Why should I do-do, do-do? 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 Why should I be ashamed?
Great evening. Welcome back, friends, families. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your book purchase. I appreciate you so much. Hey, I have some good news for you. I've been looking on Facebook. I see so much bad news, but I have some good news. I am the grandmother of 7. I didn't do any work, but my daughter and my son, my daughter-in-law and my son, yesterday she gave birth to two identical twin girls, and we are so excited. Keep us in prayer. Keep them in prayer. We got to get them home, and we're just what a privilege that I get to be there and be a grandma. And so I'm on grandma duty tonight. I haven't been in the salon. Hey, first things first, life take precedence over everything. And so we're just happy tonight. I'm praying for some of you. I know that this is a season where people are joyful and happy, but there's also a lot of tragedies, trauma, things going on. I just want to say to you, be careful, be watchful, be prayerful, be mindful, and try to be at peace. Be at peace with your families. Be at peace with your loved ones. Listen, I want to talk about advocacy. I want to talk about the highs and the low of being an advocate, especially, any form of advocacy. There's rules, there's laws, there's boundaries, and there are limitations. I have my notes here. Because of my life experiences, I often had deep concerns for hurting people. I just remember watching my mother hurt so much, and it just gave me compassion for women and to care for women. And I know sometimes we say women are hard to get along with, hard to work with, but I really have a deep care for their pain and for their successes. I want to see them win. I want to see them move forward. I want to see life happen for them. You might hear some music in the background. That's the grandbaby show. Anyway, listen, I've seen so much pain in the eyes of children in impoverished cities. Disparities are everywhere. Whether we went to church, it was still pain and hurt. On our jobs, it's everywhere. But we as human, we have to deal with life, and we keep moving forward. And some of us, we get into a place where we feel a great need to stand up for different concerns. So I had to pick a few concerns, to fight for. Every battle is not yours. Some of you are so passionate even about what I talk about, sexual abuse or women issues or children issues. You're passionate. You're not doing it to hurt, but you're doing it to be a voice of those that are silent, that are being overlooked, overwatched. And sometimes people just don't know. And whether they turn the deaf ear in our families, they say they don't know, and then when it comes out, they'll say, well, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was off. And then some people, they just want to live their life and don't want to deal with it. But I believe all of us advocate for something. Some of you advocate for a dog. You advocate for a cat, a fish, a fur coat. So we advocate for something. There's a fight in us for something, and we are charged to stand up for whatever's in your spirit to advocate for. I chose, I remember years ago, I wanted to be a foster parent. The things that happened to me, I know, even in the bad experience, I wanted to make sure that somebody would have a good experience. I didn't have a great experience in some of the foster homes that I've been in. You heard me say some. I was in one in Detroit. It was pretty good until Grandpa wanted to kiss, and I told the mother, I said, I don't want to give Grandpa sugar. Y'all heard my story, but she still was a pretty decent foster parent, but just, wasn't so watchful. And then I also advocate to tell my story, to write my book, to write my truth, to share that and not be embarrassed of my life experience. And then when I moved to North Carolina, I became a garden ad litem, where you go into the foster homes and you advocate for that child, because the foster parents doing their part. The parents are trying to get themselves together, some of them to get their children back and out of the system. And I would advocate and find out what was the need for the child, whether they needed therapy or whether they needed pajamas, whatever they needed, and that was very painful, because sometimes you went into the foster homes and you was wondering, did they just do this only? Did they really want to provide care, or was this a supplement income? And let me say this, if you're going to advocate for something, advocate with your whole heart. Advocate without it's always being about what am I going to get out of it when it comes to monetary gain. We should advocate because it is our responsibility, and sometimes it is even our it's the call on our life, and it's we have a right to do it. But I wanted to talk about the highs and lows of being an advocate of any kind. And in abusive situations, there's rules, laws, boundaries, limitations that an advocate must deal with. You must know how far to go. Do you advocate because you know the truth, or do you advocate because you believe for the person? And sometimes, in my case, people have heard my voice and they wanted me to advocate for them. And I feel like a child, it is my duty as a law-abiding citizen to advocate, report any alleged abuse for a child, and then you put it in the right hands and you leave it there. But sometimes adults have come to me and they wanted me to advocate for their abuses, and I thought it was a little bit extreme what they were wanting me to do. They wanted me to call the police when they were over 18, and they may not have wanted to deal with what they would have to face. And I'm just trying to let people know I'm not here to fight anybody's battles. I am here to advocate for what is right, to be a voice of those that are silent. But you have to get in that place and find your strength and stand up. Because can you imagine if I would just run around just advocating for people, and I go over the boundaries of what my responsibility is? And I'm here. An advocate, let me give you the definition. A person who publicly supports or recommends a particular cause or a policy. I'm here for support. I'm not a modder. Is that the right word, Broderick? Did I say that right? Huh? You know, when somebody give their life and die for something, what's you know, but we should advocate and be a support. And most of us do support in some kind of way. You're advocating for something and for somebody, but there are boundaries. There are places that I cannot go, not because I don't want to. And oftentimes when things are reported to me, I know I can kind of have that intuition that the person is telling the truth. Yes, I do believe them. However, I don't push them and say, go call the police or you. I tell them, well, that was a crime. If what you're saying is true, has taken place in your life and you were this age, it is a crime. I don't know the statute of limitations for every state. I know that there's difference, but I don't want people to think that I'm here trying to destroy families, I'm here wanting to see people healed and supported because oftentimes when you're dealing with sexual abuse, nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody want to sweep it under the rug, and everybody want to eat a pound of ham to cover it up and get sick and just be quiet and or blame it on I'm gonna go pray. And I just feel that it is our duty as a law-abiding citizen to take the responsibility, especially when it comes to our children, and go and report, and not report just to hurt them, because it hurt the children. Even though we had to get out of our home, it was very painful, it was very hurtful, it was division. I don't know if me and my sister and brother ever really came back together because there was a ripping. It wasn't just a breaking and a breakup of a relationship, a breakup of a family. We were ripped apart, one over there, and sometimes in these incidences, that people come right back in your life, and somehow they rolled right back in my mother's house, and I just couldn't afford to come in. So what are you advocating for? This is if I want to say to you, if you are an adult that has been abused, you have the mental capacity to speak for yourself. You got to find your strength. You got to find your braveness and stand up and tell what is the truth. And sometimes when we as adults, we make mistakes, we make bad choices, and sometimes it is hard to deal with what you have. It's hard to deal with some of the choices that we made. However, you've made them. And oftentimes we want justice just like any other crime. But I'm telling you, those of you that are expecting someone to advocate for you, you have to know that there are boundaries, laws, rules, and there are limitations. But that does not mean that a person do not care. I recently heard a lady say that her mother, she was telling me the position that her mother took in her sexual abuse. However, when you find that a person doesn't do anything about it, it makes you feel like you're in a whole world, like a person doesn't care. And let me say this to some of the victims, some of you that have been victimized or hurt. Sometimes they just don't have that fight in them. Sometimes, and that does not mean that a person doesn't care or doesn't love you. But I'm telling you, when you're drowning and when you're hurting, you want somebody to come to war for you. Don't you? You want somebody to come and stand up. You want someone to say, you don't want everybody to feel sorry for the perpetrator. And that's what we do. We're always finding a way to justify, oh, they were sick, oh, hurt people. Well, you did a crime, you have to do the time. It is your responsibility. So I know it hurts. I know we're embarrassed. I know that nobody wants to see failure in our families, failure in our brothers, our fathers. But when you hear a girl talking about her father has impregnated her, or her uncle has impregnated her, and then she's so shamed that I'm never telling anybody, I'm going to take it to the grave, won't even tell your child who her father is, that's ridiculous. I'm just here to tell you it's not your fault. And that child has a right to know the experience. She has a right to know where that DNA is coming from, if you at all know. And so that is my position as I advocate for you, and to be the voice. I am not a martyr. I am not here to die for everybody's cause. I want you to take on your responsibility. You are a dog, and if you have some mental issues, some mental problems, then guess what? You need to deal with that. You need to go and take care of yourself. But you have to tell somebody your situation. You have to go to the law, to the police, and find out. And I'm going to tell you, it is freeing even if you just go and pursue through and get some legal counsel. That is part of your healing, when you take responsibility and open your mouth and say, hey, this has happened to me. And again, I know that sometimes fear is a factor. I know sometimes being rejected is a factor. There's people that don't believe in you can't listen to it. It's just like putting a problem out on social media. Everyone has an opinion, just like they have a nose. But that does not mean, I hope they have a nose, but that does not mean that you're not telling the truth. And you have to stand up for it, and you don't have to grieve and hurt. There are some people that don't want to believe me. They don't want to acknowledge what happened to me in my childhood. They don't want to acknowledge some of the things that they done. But that's still not, that doesn't change anything. It is what it is, and it is my truth. And I am so glad that I've moved on in life, and that I know how to go and enjoy life and take responsibility and enjoy life and find the good in all this. Like I told you, I'm happy about just being a grandmother, finding the good in life, that I'm able to stand up. So, I want to say to you adults that is sitting, waiting, get it out your system. You should make an report to the authorities at your discretion, if you so desire. Not because I said it, but because you know that it is the right thing to do. And you have to go through till the end. And, any rape victims, oftentimes we see that on television. It's almost like torment, and people making you feel like, well, was it something you wore? Did you want that? How does a little 12-year-old girl want a 30-year-old man? Or you liked him, or were you had I don't know about you, but when I had crushes on older men when I was a little girl, but I didn't want to sleep with them. I just, admired them. So you can't allow those voices and the untruth of people to make you not get your justice, or tell the truth, or let the truth be known, because maybe you might be saving another little boy or another little girl or someone else from being hurt just by uncovering this truth. So I just want everyone to know, I don't talk adults into anything. And those of you that say that, you are the main ones that's sitting in your silence. That's why it's easy for you to sit back and say, oh, she's trying to push people to do this, or because you want to be silent, because you want to sit in that syndrome, that abuse syndrome, that cycle of abuse. You're going to let it go from generation to generation, to the 4th generation, to the 10th power, and that is your silence. And don't blame me for advocating for children adults and for whoever that calls me and they tell me their story and I try my best to dissect it according to what is truth, what is right, and all I can say, oftentimes I was not there. But if what you're saying is true, then that person was wrong. And sometimes that's all people really want to hear. They just want to know that someone can say that was wrong. That it was so wrong on so many levels. So I can pray, I can recommend, and I can be a support. I try my very best to be an example of someone that has come out of the ashes and not look like what I've been through and not be crazy, and hurting people and lashing out and always being provoked. I try to submit to the word and the will of God. Where there's peace, I try to flow where there's peace. If it's not, I go the other direction. I try to find the right words, not to hurt, because people have so many triggers because they have so many unresolved issues. And so I try to advocate and be that voice for you, even on why should I be ashamed, so you'll know that you're the issue. I've been through a lot, but I had to come to the point and say, well, Sheila, you have some issues. You need to deal with some of these deep-rooted issues. How to be a good friend. Always when you go from foster home to foster home, sometimes you're just so detached. I have good friends that love me, and I love them, and I'm trying to be a better friend and to appreciate them and the value, because I think G. Allen Foster had said it best. It is an honor when people even want to be around you, want to sit around you, that are not trying to kill you and destroy you and things like that, but that want to be in your presence, that like to talk to you, that like to laugh. Because I used to think, why does all these people want to come over here all the time? And he'd help me to understand there is value. There's value in those of you that watch. There's value in those of you that advocate for people. So keep your strength, So I want to be support. I want to help you find what you need for your healing. I want to help you find your own truth in your story and your own strength. And sometimes I know you don't remember, because sometimes we hide those things so deep down in our past that we don't want to dig for them. But everyone has a story, and some of your stories are great and your outcome is just favorable. I think about where you started. You're already a superstar. You're already to be celebrated. That's what celebrity is, right? Celebrate. And even some of you don't want no one to know, but I can look at that beauty, that had the outcome of your strength, your amazement. I look at some of the women, they go back to school. Some of the guys, they go back to school. They're bosses. They're the head and not the tail. And so we've come a long way, and the future is bright. We've learned to cope. It's like the Joseph. We have that Joseph anointing. We're going to make it through it all. We're going to make it because we took it. We've repented, and we are repaired. And no, it doesn't make us perfect, but the effort, we are that light. Just like this is shimmering, we're that light for someone that's in a dark place. And I know some of you are in a dark place. I know some of you don't think you're going to ever get out because you can't have what you want the way that you want. So you're almost having tantrums like a child, but you got to get your healing. Nobody can make you heal. No man can make you heal. No woman can make you heal. You have to do it for yourself. So every advocate, let me say this, no matter what you advocate for, you are going to face oppositions. Every advocate face opposition. You're gonna have some people that's gonna be for it, some people's against it. Some people love why should I be ashamed? Some people hate it. But you have to stand for what you believe in. And remember, what is the end goal? What do you and who do you pass the baton to after this? To the next generation. What is the end goal? The end goal, what I would love to see, and nothing is impossible. I would love to see new laws. I would love to see this family secret not be a secret, where the family sit down like the 12 disciples, come to the table, to the round table, and let's talk about it. Let's not feel defeated because we have this issue in our family. Let's not feel like we cannot break this. You all like to call it generational curses. You like to say that, but you don't do anything about it. I don't like all them old cliches and things you say. What are you going to do about the generational curse? Now that you know it's in your generation, what are you going to do? We have to change some things. We have to begin to act and execute judgment and put these situations to rest. So that's the end goal, is to stop every child from being sexual abused. That's the end goal. And I know that just seems like, as long as sin prevails, as long as evil and wickedness is in the world, it's not gonna. But you can watch, you can be careful, you can be mindful, you can stop. So that's the end goal, is to be a voice and to advocate for what that is right. I'm not trying to advocate for anything wrong. I'm not trying to deceive anybody. I'm not here to push anybody. I'm here to support those that need that support, because everybody don't have a mom, dad, sister, brother, pastor, and it's not a religious thing. It's just a right thing to do. We want this abuse to end. We want so many things to end. There's a person out there want people to stop buying fur coats. They put paint on them. There's a person out there want them to stop dog fighting. And somebody advocates for dogs. Well, I advocate for people, and I want to tell you to find your place in society, not just your job, but find your place. Find that thing that you advocate for. Give your all, research, try to have great information, great content that you can pour into someone that will change their lives. I pray that your life will change and that you will get out of some of that pain. It's almost like black tar sometimes. You seem to just can't get away from it. But with help and truth always going to prevail. One way or the other, truth is always going to prevail. With health and truth, you can make it, and you can take this generation to a place where at least they can holler out and they can not be embarrassed of what they're going through. I want to say to all of you that believe in holidays, happy holidays to you. Be at peace. Find peace with your families. Find a way to communicate, and that's by listening. And sometimes when we're listening, it's painful what people say to us. I know it has been for me. Sometimes listening, because my hurt took other people through some hurt, but sometimes when I'm listening, it's painful. But I'm very thankful for those who advocate for me, who encourage me. I appreciate you, support me. I appreciate you, and I want to say once again, joy to the world, and let's get through it. And thank you so much. Make life better. Don't stay stuck in the clay, in the tar, in the hot tar. Yes.
The way they